Hello my most amazing artists, and welcome back to another How to Make video. Today we're going to learn how to make a yarn cord. A yarn cord is an easy and fun way to make friendship bracelets, necklaces, and if you were a 5th grader doing the woven pouches with me, the yarn cord is what we use for the handle of our pouch. This is a fun, easy craft that makes a durable rope that you can use for a lot of different things. So let's talk about supplies. You are going to need yarn. Now for beginners, I highly recommend the first time you do this, you grab 2 different colors of yarn. It's going to make learning this process so much easier when you have 2 different colors. Once you get a little bit better at the cord, you can put in more colors, or you can just go down to 1 color, but it's the easiest to learn with 2. Now if you don't have yarn at home, I'm sorry, maybe you can go and buy some yarn at the store, or somebody has some that you can borrow. Then you're going to need some cardboard to make our loom or a template that our rope will grow out of, and some scissors and something to write with. So when you gather up those materials, then we will talk about the lengths of rope that you're going to need, or lengths of yarn that you're going to need. Okay, so my 2 colors that I'm going to use are this bluey color and black. I think they're 2 contrasting colors. It'd be easy for you guys to see. You're going to need 8 strands of yarn for this project. That's right, 8. And these all have to be a certain length. So I'm going to recommend that each of your strands is a wingspan. So when I talk about wingspan, it means it's going from one hand to the other hand, and it's stretching across your chest. It should be about that long. So I'm going to do that with my black string right now. From one arm to the other, then I can cut. Now, not all of your strings have to be exactly the same length, but you want them kind of close. So you're going to need 8 strands of yarn that are a wingspan long. You are going to need 4 strands in both colors. So I have 4 strands of black and 4 strands of blue. So I'm going to let you get to cutting, and once you have 8 wingspan length strands of yarn, 4 in each of your colors, then we'll talk about what to do next. So I have all 8 of my strands ready and cut. They are all a wingspan long. I've got 4 in my black color and 4 in my blue color. So now what I've done is I've found the ends of my strings, and I tried to make them all around the same length. I kind of mashed up all the ends together. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take all 8 of these strings and we're going to tie them in one big knot. So I'm going to push my strings together like this, and we have to create a knot. So all of my 3rd through 5th grade artists should know how to do this, but we will review it. We are going to take all 8 strings. This is going to be a big bundle to handle. And I am going to make a loop with them, just like this. And then you can see that my end is going over the top, so the other ends are going to wrap underneath and through the middle of my loop that I made. So they're coming under and through the middle. Make sure all of your ends make it through the middle, and then you're going to hold on to all 8 ends and hold on to this end, and you're going to pull that knot tight. Really pull it. You want a nice tight knot, just like that. So when you have all of your strings tied together to make one big strand, you have your knot with the ends, and then you have the knots with the rest of your string. The ends here, we can trim them a little bit. I'm not trimming them all the way down to the knot, but I don't need the hairs to be that long on them. You don't have to trim them, I just like it a little bit neater. So now it looks like a crazy guy with a head and crazy hair. So once we have that done, we're going to put that to the side, And then you need to grab your cardboard. We have to draw a circle on this cardboard. So I like to find something that is circular that I can trace. It could be a coaster, it could be a yogurt lid. I'm gonna use a roll of tape. So I'm gonna put it up in the corner so I don't cut out a big circle out of the center of my cardboard. Maybe I wanna use this cardboard for something else later. So I'm gonna put that right there. I'm gonna take a marker. You can use whatever you've got to write with. I'm gonna do a marker so it's dark enough for you to see. And I'm going to trace around my circular template. Whatever I've got that's round, or you could just draw a circle freehand. And then I'm going to cut that circle out. Once my circle is cut out, now we are going to create the notches to do the weaving with. So, you're going to start out by marking your north, south, east, and west. You're going to put a little mark here at north, south, east, and west. Now we're going to look between those line segments there. We're going to find the middle and mark it again. So we're going to do northeast, kind of in the middle, southeast, southwest, and northwest. So right now I should have, and put one finger here so I know where I started, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notches. I need to go one step further and I need to split each of these segments in half one more time. So I'm going to put a little line in between this one, finding the center or close to the center and making another mark. There. So our magic number for this is 16. 16. So I need to double check that I have 16 marks around my circle. So I'm going to put my finger at my starting mark that I'm going to start with so I remember where I started. And I'm going to count to make sure I've got 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Perfect. If you don't have 16, you've got to figure out where you put an extra mark or where you need to add one. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to make a little cut on all of these marks. Okay, so I've cut all 16 of my marks, and then we have to somehow puncture a hole in the center of our circle. So this might be something that you need an adult's help with, or maybe you can use a really sharp pencil. If you're using a cereal box, you could use the end of your scissors. Just don't poke yourself. I think I'm going to try to be a little safer. I'm going to use a pencil. It's not super sharp, but let's see if I can kind of poke it through. Oh, that worked. You see it? I'm going to poke my pencil through. That worked out great. If you're using a thicker cardboard, you're definitely going to probably need to use a pair of scissors or something sharper. Please ask somebody for help. But there, I've got a nice hole in there. So now this is where my cool yarn guy is going to come in, my yarn dude. So he needs to go through the hole. So he's got all this really nice hair. I'm going to slick his hair back. So I'm just pinching the knot right now, and I'm going to try to force my little dude through the hole. You might have to make your hole a little bit bigger. See if you can squeeze him through. Trying to pinch him and pull him. Whoop. There he is. So there he is. He made it through, and now I'm going to pull my yarn back so that the knot is just touching the bottom of my circle template. Okay, I need you to cut out your template, mark your 16 marks and cut them, make the hole, and get your little knotted guy through. Once you have all those things done, then we can move on to the next step. Alright friends, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to separate our two colors. You're going to see why I told you to do two colors in a minute. Now we need to make an X that's going north and south and an X that's going east and west. So I'm going to take my, whatever color you choose, I'm going to do my blue. They're going to be the ones going north and south to start. So I'm going to find 2 notches at the top that are right next to each other, and I'm going to slide the yarn into the top 2 notches. You can do whatever top 2. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom myself, and I'm going to find 2 notches. So you can see it looks like I have a blue X that is going vertically. I have a V at the top and a V at the bottom. So north and south. Now I'm going to take my black strings, I'm going to do the same thing, except they're going to be going east and west. So I'm going to put one right here, and I'm going to fill the hole in the slot next to it. Same thing on this side. Now you'll notice that I have 2 empty notches in between each of my filled notches with my string. Alright, so now we're going to talk about how we're going to make this rope. You always want to start with the left. You always want to start with the left. That's really important. We're going to be starting on the left-hand side. We always want to be looking at our loom like a compass. So you should always be seeing more of a plus sign. It should not be tilted to show an X. It should always look like a plus. So we're starting on the left side, and we're also going to start on the bottom. So I'm going to grab the string that's on the bottom left, and I'm going to move it up to the next open slot on the left. So right now it kind of looks like a fork. It's really important that your left stays on the left, and then we take our right hand and we're going to grab the right hand top string, and that's going to move down. So I'm going to pull that one out, the right drops down. Now we're going to turn it like a clock. Remember, left starts first, bottom left goes to the top, makes a fork, right top drops down, then you turn it like a clock. You can see it still is making that plus sign. I still have a north, south, east, and west. Okay. Now again, starting with the left, try to always use your left hand when you're on the left. Left goes to the top, right drops down, turn it like a clock. Now you can see that they're kind of getting off. There's not 2 strings in each one anymore. It doesn't really matter at this point. You just want to keep following that pattern. The left goes up to the top, makes a fork, right drops down into the next open thing on the right, turn it like a clock. Now you can see I'm kind of getting a tangled mess under here. You got to be on top of this, because if you go too many times without untangling it, it'll become a big frustrating mess. So the easiest way to untangle this is you just pick out one string and pull that one string out. Pick one string, pull it out. If you try to brush it with your fingers, the tangle sometimes gets worse, so I just pick the strings and I just start pulling them out one at a time. And then it should be a lot easier to untangle. All right, I've untangled them. Uh-oh, I can't remember where I left off because I was busy untangling. If that happens to you, you need to look at your loom, and whatever string is on the top, so you can see here that my black string is overlapping my blue string. So that means that my black string is on top. That was the string that I just did, which means that now it's blue's turn. So blue needs to be going up and down vertically. I start with the left, goes up to the top, makes a fork, right drops down, turn it like a clock. Now, if you need to take a break from this for whatever reason, and you want to come back to it later and you're worried that you won't remember where you left off, a tip that I give is when I'm thinking I'm going to take a break and I'm going to come back to it, I will take my left, I'll bring it up to the top, and I'll leave it on the pitchfork, or the pitchfork, because when I come back to get it, I'll know that, oh, it's the right hand side to drop down, and then I can continue on. Every once in a while, you want to turn this around and start pulling your little dude a little bit, because our rope is going to grow out from the bottom. So I'm going to keep working on this for a little bit, and I'll show you what it starts to look like as my rope grows. Remember the pattern. Right drops down, turn it like a clock. Left goes to the top, makes a pitchfork. Right drops down, turn it like a clock. All right, keep working. I will be working on this and I'll show you what it looks like as my rope begins to grow. Okay, so I've been working on my cord for about a half an hour and I've gotten a really long length growing out of the end. It is enough to wrap around my wrist. I'm thinking I want to make a friendship bracelet, and it's also probably big enough if I was going to do the cord for my pouch. Now, one thing I realized while working on this is that you probably don't need an wingspan of yarn. Look at how much extra yarn I still have, and I already have a cord this long. So my recommendation, now I'm changing it, is that you should do maybe an arm length from hand to shoulder. That would be a good amount of yarn if you just want to do a bracelet or the handle. You definitely do not need to do a wingspan across because you're going to have a lot of extra yarn. If you want to make a really long cord, then you can use a wingspan, but I personally think that an arm length is going to be more than enough for you to complete a pretty long rope, and then you're not going to deal with as much tangles as I had to deal with all this extra rope. So I'm changing my rule. Go to an arm length, not a wingspan for starting, and definitely when you're first starting to learn, because the tangles were kind of crazy with that wingspan of yarn. So I'm pretty happy with this length. So now I'm going to show you how to take it off of your template and how we can finish it off. Okay, so I just told you that you don't need to have as much string as I told you at first, but when you get to a length that you're happy with, or if you can no longer get your strings into notches, they're becoming too short, that's a good time to stop. So here's how you're going to take it off the loom. You're going to pull all of your strings out of your notches, and then you are going to pull it all through the center hole here. So now I've got my cord and I have all this extra yarn here. So we're going to kind of do something similar to what we did to start it. We're going to tie all these together. So I'm taking all my extra string. Sometimes I like to keep it longer because it's easier for me to tie with a longer string. I'm going to make that loop, and then all the strings are going to wrap, going over the top, all the strings are going to wrap around under and through the middle of the loop. And then I can kind of guide that knot where I want it to go. I want it to be at the top, so I'm going to push it down till it touches the top of my rope, push it down, and then I can really start to pull it tight. And at the beginning I told you you could trim these. You could actually keep them longer if you want to, because then you'll be able to tie those ends together to create your friendship bracelet or whatever you're making. I'm going to cut these a little shorter. And that's how you make a rope cord using 2 colors of string, cardboard, and scissors. So you can do a lot of things to finish this off. You can make them into friendship bracelets and tie the ends together. If you wanted to make it into the handle for your pouch, I usually stick the piece on the inside and sew it in or hot glue it in to create my handle. But this is just a fun activity you can do at home with yarn. It's fun to do in car rides or just when you're watching TV, because once you get the hang of the pattern, it's just really quick to do. So have fun creating your yarn cords. Goodbye, my most amazing artist.